Good morning and welcome back to our Leadership Empowerment session. And I hope you have a wonderful day so far, and I believe the rest of the day will be blessed and exciting, filled with new answers, new things in your life, because we are leaders, and leaders are never stagnant. They are constantly, continually growing and expanding their sphere of influence. Last time when we talked, I talked about abusive leaders, and I've highlighted what an abusive leader is, the common character traits of an abusive leader. I've mentioned 6 of them. We've talked about why people stay under abusive leaders and what the effects of abusive leadership is. And this morning I want to continue in part 2 of an abusive leader. And I want to talk specifically on how to deal with an abusive leader. Most of us have been part of an organization where we had to serve under an abusive leader. And this requires both personal strategy and, where possible, organizational support. These type of leaders, you feel so frustrated and irritated that you want to quit. You want to leave because you cannot handle this anymore. But today I want to point out a few things on how to deal with abusive leaders. Number 1, recognize their behavior clearly. Identify certain patterns, not just isolated incidences. Oh my goodness, how do I struggle with that pronunciation today? Trust observable facts rather than emotional confusion. Look for their trigger events. Be aware of their actions. So our first step into deal with an abusive leader is awareness before you can change behavior. Awareness is the first step to regaining control of your life and your environment and the work environment, the culture that is being created. That's the first step. Recognize their behavior clearly. Do not make assumptions. Don't dwell in the past, but use the past to make sure that the current and the future will change. Number 2, document everything. And that I've learned early in my life in an environment. I used to be in the prison service, and in that atmosphere, sometimes toxic, other times very abusive leaders because of rank. And there I learned, record everything, write every incident down, the dates, the communication, who were present, document, cover your own tracks, save emails, save messages. Look at your performance feedback. Make sure that whatever you say, you have the date, the time, and what was said documented, because that will save you in the future. This is a crucial element. If formal actions will become necessary in the future, then you can stand up and say, not just hypothetically or mentioning something in the air, but you can have date and day and time and whatever was said documented. And I can tell you the chances that the abusive leader will have that as well is very slim, because they rely on their influence and their control so that they can look good. But when you come with facts, you cannot argue with facts. Number 3, set professional boundaries. Limit unnecessary exposure where possible. If you can avoid a situation, rather avoid than step into a situation. Keep your communication clear, precise, factual, and very professional. Avoid engaging in a situation where your emotions escalate, where you are now becoming a participant in the abusive situation. Consider external advice. In the modern time we're living in, there are trade unions. Speak to your trade union representative, your shop steward. Make him aware of the situation you are currently facing. Isolation strengthens abusive system. Don't become isolated. Speak to somebody. I'm not saying gossip. Speak to somebody that can do something. If a person cannot help you, don't share that information, because then you are becoming part of creating and cultivating a toxic environment. So speak to somebody who can help, not just to everybody who wants to listen. When we continue, number 4, avoid direct confirmation. Avoid direct confrontation, especially in an unsafe environment without witnesses, without a testimony. Don't be caught in that isolated situation. If the leader is highly defensive or retaliatory, confrontational, and confrontation may worsen the situation. Choose your time. Choose your place. Create a setting, an environment, a place where you are supported. Be careful. Make sure when there is not a confrontation but a disagreement, make sure that you have witnesses in a safe environment. Safety and strategy matter more than the reaction. Does that make sense? It's not how you react. It's how you react in a safe and a strategic environment. Number 5, protect your well-being. Prioritize your mental and emotional health. You're in control of that. Nobody else. Nobody can control or manipulate you emotionally. What you experience, what you're going through personally, that's in your hands. We might not be able to control the environment, but we can control our emotions, our reactions. If you need to take a break, take a break. If you need to leave, step away. And most important, after documented the date, the day, the who, the what, and the where, then leave it behind. Don't ponder over it. The time will come when the timing is right that you can address the issue. And as I've said previously, don't share everything to anybody, just anybody who wants to listen. Speak to people who can make a difference. No role is worth long-term damage to your health. If you cannot change the environment, change your address. The peace of mind, your emotional well-being, your physical health is more important than a salary check. And for our younger viewers, you might not be aware of a salary check. In the past, we used to get a check. If we hand it over, then you must go and deposit that. Then it started with electronic transfers, where money has been deposited in your account. Don't run after money and damage your health. Number 6, and this is a very sensitive area. Escalate when necessary. So when the situation is so critical, you have spoken to your union rep, then follow a formal complaint procedure. Because there are, in every organization, there should be a complaints procedure. When you're going through a challenging time, when there's abuse, when there's something happening in your workplace, there must be a procedure to follow. And this is now when you provide your documentary proof of the things that have happened as you've documented over a period of time. Follow your organizational policies. It's for your own protection. It's for your own good. That will strengthen your case against an abusive leader. If the system is healthy, it should respond. If you have done all of these things, documentation, speaking to a union rep, following procedures and policies, and it does not change, you change. You move on. Then you know. It's for your own well-being that you leave. It will protect you emotionally, physically. It's for your own benefit and your own good. And the last one on how to deal with this, be prepared to leave. As I stated, if the environment does not change, start exploring other opportunities. Start planning your exit strategy. Do not wait until you have burned out, broken down, in emotional crisis, or wait until you are forced out of the job. Don't wait too long. I am not a person that will tell you with the first confrontation, leave. We have to deal through a confrontation. We have to deal with everything. But don't leave after the first disagreement. Work through it, learn through it. But if it becomes a habit, a pattern, then you need to address the situation. My granddaughter just walked into my office. She's getting my attention. And as I said, family is important. So be prepared. Leaving is sometimes the most responsible and empowering choice you will ever make. Make sure you've done everything possible in every situation to deal with these crises in your life. And now for your organizations, preventing. How can I prevent an abusive leadership? Organizations play a critical role in stopping this behavior. It lies in the hands of the company, the leadership, that must deal with this and prevent this in happening, where staff is being abused by a leader that's incapable of his position. There are certain key measures and measurements that we must implement in your organization. Clear leadership standards and code of conduct must be implemented, where there's a minimum requirement for leaders. Regular 360-degree feedback systems. Feedback will prevent abuse. And when people come and give you feedback, act upon it. Don't just say, I hear, and do nothing about it. You must create a safe and sometimes anonymous reporting channel. Sometimes the situation is so bad that staff member cannot give you feedback and provide their names. Yes, that is also an open door for false accusation. But this is where wisdom comes in for you as the leader. Leadership training focused on emotional intelligence. Teach them on how to deal with their emotions emotionally. That must be part of your leadership empowerment program. And I think this one is what I'm going to say now is of vital importance. You must have a zero tolerance policy for retaliation. Zero tolerance. Staff must be protected at all times. Do not allow 1 or 2 staff members that might abuse the system to undermine the culture of your organization. A healthy culture does not a healthy culture prevents abusive leadership. And not just prevents it, it exposes them. And that needs to happen. Now, how does a healthy leadership core look like? In contrast to effective leaders, healthy leaders empower rather than control. They encourage open communication. They take responsibility for their own actions. This is all about healthy leadership. They develop people instead of using them. And they create a psychological and emotionally safe environment for the staff. And finally, abusive leadership is not just a personality issue. It's the misuse and abuse of authority. And the result is they rarely connect for intervention. They really connect there. Abusive leadership thrive in silence and fear. Throw that thing off, throw it away. When you are in a healthy leadership, healthy leaders will help people. Then it declines and lifts up, it declines and reduces abuse. We need to teach staff to set boundaries. And we need to enforce systems of accountability. So let us as leaders not become abusive. But if you are a member of a staff in an abusive environment, follow these things. Protect yourself. Become part of a solution and not the problem. And make a decision when you are stepping into leadership not to do the same things, not to make the same mistakes. And you know what is scary? If you are raised, if you are part of a process in an abusive culture and environment, the chances of you becoming abusive are excellent. Because this is what you know. This is what you've seen. This is what you've been experienced and exposed to. That becomes the norm of the organization. And I can promise you, if you cannot change it, you will become part of it. Once you step into leadership, you will become part of an abusive leadership. So this is a tough one. It's nothing to do with rebellion or subordination. It's about the protecting of yourself, your health, your mental and physical health, It's about protecting organizations' ethos, the culture. You can make a difference. And in the most extreme case where you cannot make a difference, change your address. Find another place of employment. It's for your own good. And I want to say thank you for tuning in this morning. Thank you for listening. And if you experience this abusive relationship and you don't have anybody to talk to, direct message me. Send me an email and we can see what advice we can give. And for us in leadership, you are welcome to use these teachings in your organization, in your department. Use it in training to gain understanding and to become part as a catalyst in transforming your organization. We are also available to come and visit your organization, to do training, to assist removing a toxic environment. Go to my YouTube channel. Follow us there. Click, follow, link, subscribe, but become part. Thank you for taking your time out this morning. We appreciate your time. God bless you.